The Sabbath day is one of the most important days in the week for many believers. It is a day set apart from the rest, a day dedicated to rest and worship. From ancient times to the present, keeping the Sabbath holy has been seen as a divine command. This day is meant to be a time of spiritual renewal and reflection. The importance of the Sabbath can be traced back to the very beginning of time. In the Bible, Genesis 2, verses 2 to 3, tells us that on the seventh day, God finished his work of creation and rested. He blessed the seventh day and made it holy. By setting this example, God showed us the importance of taking time to rest and focus on spiritual matters. Throughout history, the Sabbath has served as a reminder of God's creation and his love for mankind. It is a day to step away from the busyness of life and reconnect with God and family. Observing the Sabbath can bring peace and balance to our lives. The significance of the Sabbath is not only in physical rest, but also in spiritual renewal. It provides an opportunity to recharge our minds and souls, preparing us for the week ahead. By keeping the Sabbath holy, we honor God and acknowledge his sovereignty over our lives. God's command to keep the Sabbath day holy is clear and direct. In Exodus 20, verses 8 to 11, it is one of the 10 commandments given to Moses. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work. This commandment emphasizes the importance of setting aside one day for rest and worship. The command to observe the Sabbath is not just a suggestion, but a requirement for those who follow God. It is a day to cease from all forms of labor and focus on the spiritual. This day is meant to be different from the other days of the week, marked by a special dedication to God. In Leviticus 23, verse 3, the Sabbath is described as a day of sacred assembly. This means it is not just a day of rest, but also a day for gathering together in worship and fellowship. By coming together to worship, believers strengthen their faith and build a sense of community. God's command to keep the Sabbath holy is a reminder of his creation and his covenant with his people. It is a day to remember God's provision and care. By observing the Sabbath, we demonstrate our trust in God's ability to meet our needs, even when we take a break from our labors. Ignoring the command to keep the Sabbath holy can lead to significant consequences. In the Bible, there are several instances where neglecting the Sabbath brought about punishment. For example, in Numbers 15, verses 32 to 36, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath, and he was put to death for breaking the commandment. This shows how seriously God views the observance of the Sabbath. Disobedience to the Sabbath command can lead to spiritual consequences as well. When we fail to set aside time for rest and worship, we can become spiritually drained. Our relationship with God may suffer, and we may feel disconnected from our faith community. This can lead to a weakened spiritual life and a sense of isolation. Another consequence of not keeping the Sabbath is the impact on our physical and mental health. Without regular rest, our bodies and minds can become overworked and stressed. This can lead to burnout, fatigue, and other health issues. God designed the Sabbath as a time for rest, and neglecting it can have negative effects on our well-being. Moreover, failing to observe the Sabbath can affect our relationships with others. When we do not take time to rest and connect with family and friends, our relationships can suffer. The Sabbath is an opportunity to strengthen bonds with loved ones and build a supportive community. Ignoring this command can lead to a lack of meaningful connections with those around us. Section 4. Benefits and rewards of obedience. Keeping the Sabbath holy brings numerous benefits and rewards. One of the most significant benefits is spiritual renewal. By dedicating a day to rest and worship, we can deepen our relationship with God. This time allows us to reflect on his goodness and seek his guidance for our lives. Observing the Sabbath also brings physical and mental rest. Taking a break from the demands of work and daily life can help reduce stress and improve overall health. It provides an opportunity to recharge and rejuvenate, leading to increased productivity and well-being during the rest of the week. Another reward of keeping the Sabbath is the strengthening of relationships. Spending quality time with family and friends on the Sabbath can help build stronger, more meaningful connections. This time together can create lasting memories and foster a sense of community and support. God promises blessings for those who observe the Sabbath. In Isaiah 58:13-14 it says, "If you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord." Keeping the Sabbath holy can lead to a sense of joy and fulfillment in our relationship with God. Section 5. Practical examples for modern-day Sabbath observance. Observing the Sabbath in modern times can be challenging, but is still possible and beneficial. One practical way to keep the Sabbath holy is by setting aside specific times for rest and worship. This can include attending church services, spending time in prayer and Bible study, and participating in spiritual activities. Another way to observe the Sabbath is by disconnecting from work and technology. This can mean turning off phones, computers, and other devices to focus on rest and family time. It is an opportunity to step away from the busyness of life and reconnect with what is truly important. Engaging in restful and enjoyable activities is another way to observe the Sabbath. This can include spending time in nature, enjoying a meal with loved ones, or participating in a hobby. These activities can help refresh the mind and spirit, making the Sabbath a delightful and rejuvenating experience. Finally, serving others can be a meaningful way to observe the Sabbath. Volunteering at a local charity, visiting the sick, or helping a neighbor in need can bring a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Serving others on the Sabbath reflects God's love and compassion and can bring joy to both the giver and the recipient. Section 6. Conclusion. The importance of following God's commandments. Keeping the Sabbath day holy is a divine command that brings numerous benefits and rewards. It is a day set apart for rest, worship, and spiritual renewal. By observing the Sabbath, we honor God and acknowledge His sovereignty over our lives. The consequences of not keeping the Sabbath can be significant, affecting our spiritual, physical, and relational well-being. However, the rewards of obedience are great, including spiritual growth, physical rest, and strengthened relationships. In modern times, it is important to find practical ways to observe the Sabbath, such as attending church, disconnecting from technology, enjoying restful activities, and serving others. These practices can help us keep the Sabbath holy and experience its many benefits. By following God's command to keep the Sabbath, we can find joy, peace, and fulfillment in our lives. Let us strive to honor this sacred day and experience the blessings that come from obedience.